You don't realise how fragile your life is until your car stops moving. Not in some Hollywood apocalypse, just a normal British Tuesday. One little sensor, one software lock, one dealer-only part, and suddenly your freedom machine becomes a 2-ton brick on the verge while your life carries on without it. And here's the scary part, this is happening more as cars get newer because we're running out of cars that normal people can actually keep alive. So today I'm going to show you why older cars are quietly becoming the smartest form of independence and what you should do right now if you want to stay mobile in the UK. Welcome back to Charlie Survival. If you want calm UK realistic readiness, no bunker fantasies, just practical systems that keep you and your family moving when the modern world gets wobbly, you're in the right place. Comment below if you would like a follow-up where I break down the most resilient cars in the UK by budget, 2k, 5k, 10k, and the specific models I'd actually trust. And if you're new here, subscribe, because this channel is basically a growing library of how to stay functional in Britain when things get rough. Here's what this video will do for you. By the end, you'll know why fixable cars are disappearing, what makes a car resilient in the UK, and the 7-item car readiness kit that turns a breakdown into an inconvenience, not a crisis. And this isn't a car nerd rant, this is about one word, mobility, because in the UK when something goes wrong, storms, supply issues, strikes, fuel queues, power cuts, your car is often the difference between options and being stuck. So let's get into it. Here's the core truth in one line. A reliable, repairable car is a preparedness asset, not because you're bugging out. Most of the time in Britain, the best plan is to bug in, but life still happens. You still need to get to work, do a supply run, pick someone up, get home if something kicks off while you're out, or just not be stranded on Dartmoor in sideways rain with 2% phone battery. So the question isn't what's the coolest car? The question is, if your car fails, can you get it moving again quickly, cheaply and locally? Because that's the difference between independence and dependency. And here's the shift. People are starting to value cars roughly from 2005 to mid-2010s because they're often the sweet spot. Enough comfort and safety, but not totally swallowed by lockdown software ecosystems and still fixable by normal garages with normal tools. But we're moving away from that era fast. So why? Point 1. The invisible lock problem. First reason newer cars become a nightmare, you can't fix what you can't access. Imagine this, your car throws a fault, not catastrophic, not an engine grenade, something boring, but the car won't behave normally until it's told it's okay. To do that you need manufacturer software, the correct login, sometimes online access, and in certain cases coding, pairing, module programming. So your local mechanic Ted down the road, the man who's kept your family's cars running for years, looks at it and goes, "Sorry mate, we can't do that without dealer systems." That's the lock, not a physical lock, an invisible one. Now, I'll be fair, newer cars bring real benefits, better crash safety, better efficiency, cleaner emissions, and systems that can genuinely prevent accidents. I'm not saying new is bad, I'm saying new is more dependent, and dependency is fragile. The danger isn't that cars are worse, it's that they're less yours. Quick pause, if you want the exact UK ready car kit I'm about to show you, tools, power, lights, comms basics, the lot, I've put it all on my Charlie Survival Amazon kit list. It's basically a shortcut so you don't waste money on random rubbish. The link is in the description. Point 2. Complexity hides failures. Second reason, modern complexity doesn't just break, it breaks confusingly. Older cars often fail in obvious ways. Starter motor, alternator, battery, coolant leak, warm brake line, a sensor you can swap in 10 minutes. Newer cars can fail like a ghost story because everything is integrated. So you get symptoms like random power loss, intermittent faults, limp mode, driver assist unavailable, the car acting haunted when it swerves for a leaf in the road. And you're chasing the problem through a network of modules. Even if the actual issue is small, the diagnostic process becomes expensive and slow. And in the UK, slow means you're without a car for days or weeks. parts delayed, dealer booking times, and you're paying for time before you've even repaired anything. Complexity doesn't just make cars harder to fix, it makes them harder to diagnose, and diagnosis is where your independence quietly bleeds out. Quick real-world scenario, your car goes into limp mode on a Friday. You book the dealer, earliest slot is in 10 days. They plug it in, tell you it needs a module, and that module is on back order. Meanwhile, you're paying insurance, tax, maybe finance, and you're borrowing lifts like a teenager again. That's not just annoying, it's a resilience failure. A simpler car might still break, but it usually breaks in a way you can solve this weekend with basics. Point 3, the weird engine era. Third reason, and this one's spicy, we've entered the era of clever engineering that sometimes creates dumb ownership. Smaller turbo engines working harder, more heat, more pressure, more systems stacked on systems, and sometimes designs that are brilliant on paper but painful in real life if maintenance is missed or parts are pricey. And I'll keep this grounded, I'm not here to scare you, I'm here to say if a car requires perfect conditions to survive, it's not resilient. Resilient systems survive late services, cold starts, short trips, British weather and normal human behaviour. This is where we don't pretend everyone's driving a perfect prepper vehicle. Some of us are in what we can afford, some of us are in classic Defenders, if you know you know. So rather than preaching buy this dream car, the better question is how do we build resilience with what we've got? The most resilient car isn't the best car, it's the car with predictable problems, available parts and local flexibility. The resilient car checklist. So what do you actually look for? Here's the UK resilient car checklist. Don't screenshot this yet because the payoff is at the end. Common in the UK, if it's everywhere, parts are available. Big parts ecosystem. Scrapyards, pattern parts. Breakers, forums, motor factors. Simple drivetrain. Boring engine, boring gearbox, boring is beautiful. Independent garage friendly. If your local garage can't comfortably work on it, resilience drops, no dealer permissions for basics. If simple repairs turn into software drama, that's a dependency trap. Fast repair cycle. The best car is the one that can be fixed in 48 hours, not 48 days. You actually like it, because you maintain what you like and neglect kills cars. Here's the one line that matters most. The most resilient car is the one you can keep on the road with local tools, local parts and local people. That's the philosophy. Now let's turn your car from transport into a mobility system. The 7-item Get Home car kit. Most people prep for the car, but not the moment the car stops being a car. A breakdown in Britain isn't just mechanical, it's exposure, time, visibility and decision making. So here's the 7-item kit I actually trust. Tyre plug kits plus mini compressor. Tyres are the common failure that becomes drama. Plug plus pump equals you're moving. Jump starter or jump leads. Dead batteries are boring and common. A jump starter is gold when you're alone. Basic tool roll. 10mm pliers, screwdriver, adjustable spanner, duct tape, cable ties. Not rebuilding an engine unless you own a Defender, just patching enough to get home. Spare fuses and bulbs. Weather and vibration causes weird little failures and a dead bulb becomes a police stop when you're already late for a meeting. Head torch and gloves. You won't fix anything if you can't see. Cold hands make stupid decisions. OBD2 reader. Even if you can't fix it, you can triage it. Knowing misfire versus overheating changes everything. Water plus warm layer. Everyone skips this because it feels too normal, but if you're stranded for 2 hours, cold, wet, hungry and stressed, you become a liability to yourself. This kit doesn't make you a mechanic, it makes you hard to stop. EVs and hybrids. Now, I know someone's typing, what about EVs? Here's the calm truth. EVs can be brilliant, quiet, quick, cheap to run day to day, and in some ways simpler to maintain. But resilience is about risk profile. With EVs and complex hybrids, the long-term risk is often specialist repairs, high voltage components, and battery health over time. That doesn't mean don't buy one, it means don't build your whole mobility plan on something you can't recover from. So, if you're in an EV, the resilience move might be stay in warranty where possible, keep backup options, plan charging around outages, and keep the same breakdown kit principles. Because a dead EV and a dead petrol car look the same, you're still stood in the rain. Why this matters now? Here's where this gets serious. We're entering into a world where cars are more expensive, more complex, and more locked to ecosystems. At the same time, life is getting more volatile. Storms, infrastructure strain, supply chain weirdness, cost of living pressure. That combination squeezes people, not because the world is ending, because the margin for error is shrinking. If your car becomes unrepairable, you don't just lose transport, you lose time, money, job reliability, family logistics, and freedom. And Britain is built on the assumption that you can move. So here's your action step today. Pick your mobility strategy. Option A, keep your current car alive. Option B, if you're changing cars soon, choose a resilient one. Option C, if you can't drive or don't want to, build a get home plan anyway. Preparedness is options. Here's the main idea again. Mobility equals options. Options equals calm. If this helped, smash like and subscribe. I'm building the most practical UK survival library on YouTube, one calm system at a time. And comment below if you want the follow-up on resilient used cars by budget. Also, if you want my exact kit, it's in my Charlie Survival Amazon kit list in the description. It's the easiest way to copy what I've tested. Now you know all about cars, it's time to take it back to the home. Click this video on screen now to learn all about how to prepare for something big happening in India that may affect the UK. Click it to stay calm and I'll see you over there.